Good evening. We're holding now on Daf Lamed Hey Amid Aleph, the third line from the top, second to last word. So we're in the middle of discussing now different drashas of the Meraglim, and the pasuk says, "Vayisapru loy vayemru banu." Torah says, and they told him and said that we came. So the Meraglim said, the pasuk says that we came el haaretz asher shalachtanu v'gam zovas cholav udvashi. But the Meraglim said that the land that you sent us, it also flows with milk and honey. So ksiv efes kiaz ha'am. Now it's written also that the people that dwelt there were like very, very strong. They were fierce. So first they're saying that the land was very good, and then Efes ki azam. So first they started with shvach, and even though their point was to actually speak derogatory about the land. So Rabbi Yechon says, which is a siman emes levadi levia. This is like a siman, which the next few parts, the idea of we're going to see. So Mishum Meir, he says that what kol lashon hara. Say any time a person wants to speak lashon hara, slander, but it doesn't begin with a truthful statement, ein miskayim b'seifei. So ultimately, it does not stand. Whenever somebody wants to make up lashon hara or a lie or whatever, so if he doesn't say at least some of the truth, then nobody will believe him. So the Meraglim, they said some truth about Eretz Yisrael, that it's a eretz, but their point was idea of Efes ki azam, that they wanted to bring out the gnus of Eretz Yisrael. Then the pasuk says, "Vayas Kolel L'Horaah Maasis." That Kolel he silenced the people towards Moshe. So Amar Rabbi says, "She sees some b'dvarim." What does it mean? Vayas means he persuaded them with his words. What did he do? So Pasuk Yeshua began when they came back from Eretz Yisrael, and they were all crying. So Yeshua stood up. He began to address the people. Now, as he was speaking, they said, "Dein reish k'tia yimali." This person who has like a head which is chopped off, which like Rashi says, they're referring to that he has no children. He's speaking about entering the land. And like the Mefarshim explained, they thought that Yeshua is just speaking because he doesn't have any children that have to go into Eretz Yisrael. So they thought that he didn't really care about the Yidden going into Eretz Yisrael. So they said, they said, this guy who has no children, he's going to go and speak about entering Eretz Yisrael. So Amar, so what did Kolel say? If I speak, Amri bi milsa v'chasmili, then they're going to say something about me as well and stop me from speaking. So Amar Lahen, so he said, is this the only thing that Ben Amram, in other words, Moshe Rabbeinu, has done to us? So what happened? So they thought that Kolel is speaking to discredit Moshe Rabbeinu. So Ishtaku, they were silent. And like the Rebbe explains, it says Ben Amram. It doesn't say, why didn't he say Moshe Rabbeinu? Should have said, so the Rebbe explains that if he would have said Moshe Rabbeinu, so then they would right away jump at him thinking that he's speaking the Mila. Moshe Rabbeinu, so he used like a term, like he tricked them a little bit, Ben Amram, like Kivyochel, but really it's a very respectful way to speak about Moshe Rabbeinu and to silence them. So Amar Lahu, he then said to them, Hashem took us out of Mitzrayim. Moshe Rabbeinu took us out of Mitzrayim. And he split the sea for us. And he also fed us the manna. If Moshe Rabbeinu is going to say, build ladders and climb to the heavens, we're not going to listen to him. In other words, Moshe Rabbeinu, like the Rebbe says many times, is the Nasi Adir, and by Nasi Adir we have to have the ultimate bittul to him. So he said that even if Moshe Rabbeinu is going to make us go on ladders and climb into the heavens, are we not going to listen to him? So Kolel said, we should now go up at once, even to the Shamayim, and we should inherit it and like possess it. Now, then the pasuk says, after Kalev said about conquering Eretz Yisrael, the Meraglim came back and they said, "V'hanoshim asher olu imay amru lo nuchal." Pasuk says that the people, the men that went up there with him, said, "We're not able to." The full pasuk says, they said, "Lo nala lo nuchal la'alis elaom ki chazaku mimenu." They said that we're unable to go up to Eretz Yisrael because ki, what was the lashon? They said ki chazaku mimenu. They said that he's stronger than us, which in other words that the people in Eretz Yisrael, the giants there, are stronger than the Yidden. So Reb Chanina bar Papa says, "Dover Godol Dibra Meraglim Be'Yisrael." The spies said a serious statement at that moment. What do they say? Ki chazaku mimenu. They said he's stronger than mimenu. Rashi takes out the words al tikri mimenu. Ela mimenu. In other words, what does it mean for him? Kiviyachol afilu balabayis and yachol yitzir kelev misham. They're saying like the homeowner, the Hashem, is unable to remove his belongings from there. Just like when a person gives his kelim as a pikadon, so he's not able to take his own. If he doesn't give back the loan, he's not able to take back his own pikadon back. So they said kiviyachol, the way that Hashem set up the world, we're not going to be able to defeat the Meraglim, the giants in Eretz Yisrael. Like the Rebbe says in the Siches, that obviously the Meraglim knew what they're saying, that Chas v'shalom, that Hashem cannot defeat. Hashem showed the Yidden so many miracles. Hashem can't defeat the Meraglim, the people in Eretz Yisrael. This is nothing. So the Rebbe explains that the Meraglim were telling Moshe Rabbeinu that the Eibishter is taking us from the Midbar and bringing us into Eretz Yisrael. In the Midbar, everything was higher than Teva. So higher than Teva, Hashem, of course, Hashem will go higher than Teva and make sure that the Yidden are victorious. But if Hashem now wants us to be from Dibur to Maisa, then we should go from Hecher from Teva to Teva. So according to Teva, that the way Hashem set up the nature, a Yid cannot be victorious over these giants. So what did Moshe say? What was Kolel? What was Yeshua saying? That even a Yid in Teva, he's higher than Teva. He's not subjugated by the terms of Teva. Okay, then the spies said, Eretz Yechilas Yishvehi. It says it's a land that consumes its inhabitants. So Darash Rava said, Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The Eibusher said, Ani chashafti elu teva v'heim chashvu l'ra. I intended that Eretz Yisrael, that the inhabitants should be, that it should appear that Eretz Yisrael is consuming its inhabitants for the good of the Yidden, and they consider the proof that it was bad. Now, Ani chashafti elu teva, I made the land look like it swallows its inhabitants. I meant it for the good of the Yidden. That what? That I intended for their good that anywhere that the spies arrive, the most important of them died, so that the people there would be preoccupied with Avelus and would not inquire about the Eden. So Hashem said, I made them be so busy with funerals that they don't even notice the Meraglim. Other people say, Eiv, who was the leader then, he died that day. And everybody was preoccupied with his eulogy and didn't pay attention to the spies. So the Meraglim considered this as it's bad. This is a land that consumes its inhabitants. But they didn't realize that Hashem did it for their good. Then the Meraglim said, and we were like grasshoppers in our eyes, and so we were in their eyes. Now, and we were like grasshoppers in our own eyes, the pasuk says, and we were in their eyes as well like grasshoppers. So Amar Mesharsha says, Meraglim shakori haven. The Meraglim were liars. Mele, that they said we were like grasshoppers in our eyes. In other words, they were insecure and they felt that they were grasshoppers. Fine, they can say that. But how do they know to say? In other words, they don't know what the people in Eretz Yisrael were thinking, and so we were in their eyes. So the Gemara says, so by the Yidden saying, by the Meraglim saying that v'chein hayinu, they're liars. It's impossible for them to know what the people in Eretz Yisrael were thinking. So the Gemara says, v'lohi, it's not true. You have a mavri aveli, when the people in Eretz Yisrael were having the mourner's meal, tusi arzi have a mavri. They had the meal beneath cedar trees. V'chichazinu, and when the Meraglim saw the people in Eretz Yisrael, sliku yosvi b'ilani, and they climbed up in the trees and sat in them. Shami de Kamri, from there they heard the Canaanim saying, Kechazina inchi de dambu le kamtzi b'ilani. We see people who look like grasshoppers in their eyes. So, Be'emes, when they said they're grasshoppers, they were saying the truth. Okay, then the pasuk says that Vatisa kol ha'eda vayitnu eskena vayifku, and all the congregation, once they heard what the Meraglim said, they lifted up their eyes, vayifku, and they cried. So Amar Rabba, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Rabba says in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, Oisa hayem erev Tisha B'Av haya. The day that the Meraglim came back was the 9th of Av. Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu, so Hashem said, Hein bachu b'chiyah shachinam. They wept, they cried for no reason. And I will establish for them a weeping for future generations. Then the pasuk says, all the congregation says that Vayemru, and they said, but all the congregation should stone them with stones. And then it says immediately afterwards that the glory of Hashem appeared in the Oyel Meit, in the tent of meeting. So Amar Rabbi Chia bar Abba, so Rabbi Chia bar Abba said, it teaches us that they took stones, the Yidden took stones and they threw it upwards towards Hashem. Then the pasuk says, and those men who brought out an evil report of the land, in other words the Meraglim, what happened? They died by the plague before Hashem. So Rabbi Shimon Lakish says, Shemesu Misa Mishuna, that the Meraglim, they died an unusual death. Rabbi Chanina bar Papa says, Dorish Rabbi Shila Ish Kvar Timarto Melamish Nishtarve L'Sheinu V'Nafal Tiburnim. So he says that this teaches us that their tongues were stretched out from their mouths and fell upon their stomachs. Their tongues came to their stomachs, and there was like these worms that were crawling out from their tongues and entering their stomachs, and like entering from their stomachs back to their tongues. Now, Rab Nachman Bar Yitzchak says, they died with this death, the sickness that chokes a person to death. Okay, now the Gemara returns to what we spoke about beforehand. Yesterday we spoke about the Yidden entering into Eretz Yisrael. So it says, once the last of the Jewish people ascended out of the Yarden, so the water returned to its place. So you remember yesterday there was a machlekes how high the Yarden went. Either it was 12 or 300. Akapanim, once all the Yidden, what? Not the Yamsuf, the Yarden. Yeah. The Yarden. This was in the times of Yeshua. So it says that after all the Yidden passed through the Yarden, so it says that it went back to the Chazru Ma'ilim Kaiman. Shenamar, like it says, Vayihi ba'alois ha'kainim neis ha'arim b'ritz Hashem mitech ha'yardin nitku kapis ragle ha'kainim el ha'charava v'yeshuvu me'am yardin l'mekayim v'yelchu kismel shilshim al kol gudeisav. The pasuk says, and it came to pass as the kainim that brought up the orin of the covenant of Hashem came up out of the midst of the Yarden, and as soon as the soles of the Kohanim's feet were drawn up onto dry ground, that the waters of the Jordan returned to its place and went over all the banks as it had done before. So, in other words, the Gemara understands that the Kohanim who carried the Aron stood in the water until all the Jewish people passed through the Yarden. Once all the Jewish people had reached the other side of the Yarden, then the Kohanim stepped back from the water, and the Yarden returned to its natural state, which we're going to see in a second. It it's mashma, like the Yidden, they actually went through the Yarden. They went from one place to the other place. The Kohanim, till now we're learning, is they just stayed, they put their feet in the water, they were carrying the Aron, and once all the Yidden passed by, it's mashma that they went back to its original place. So it comes like this. So it follows that the Aron and the people carrying the Aron and the Kohanim were on the side, I should say the bearers and the Kohanim were all on one side, which is the east side of the Yarden. And Yisrael Mitzad Echad, and the Yidden were on the other side. They were on the west side, because they went straight. Shenemar Vayhi Kasher Tam El Kol Ha'om, Tam Kol Ha'om La'aved Vayavar Aron Hashem V'Kenim B'fnei Ha'om. When all the people were completely passed over, the ark of Hashem passed on, and the Kohanim before the people. Now, the Gemara says, and over this matter, Uzzah was punished. Why? Because he did not take proper care of the Aron. And when they came upon to the threshing floor of Kidain, so what happened? Uzzah put forth the hand to hold the Aron. And the Gemara says, Hashem said, Uzzah neisa nasa, atzmele kol shekein. So Hashem said to Uzzah, the Aron carried the people went across the Yarden. Who was carrying? The Aron was carrying the people. Atzmele kol shekein. All the more so you don't think it can carry itself. So Hashem was very upset, and that's why Uzzah was punished. It says, and the anger of Hashem was kindled against Uzzah. And Hashem struck him there for his hashal, means his mistake. So Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Elazar, it's a machlekes between Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Elazar. Chadar mal iskei shali. One says Hashem struck him for his forgetfulness. In other words, because he did not remember that the Aron can carry itself. Another person says that Hashem struck him because he lifted the edges of his garment in front of the Aron, and what did he do? He relieved himself in the presence of the Aron. Then the pasuk says, and he died there with the Aron Elikim. Uzi, he entered Elim Haba, as it says, Im Aron Elikim, with the ark of Hashem. Ma Aron Le'elim Kayim. Just as the ark exists forever, Af Uzi by Le'elim, so too Uzi entered Elim Haba. Then the pasuk says, Vayichel David al Ashir Paratz Hashem Pedes B'Uzi, and Hashem was like angry, he was upset, he was displeased because Hashem had broken forth upon Uzi. Amar Blazer Shnishhtanu Ponav Kecharola. It means that his face changed colors like bread baked from like it was like black. So his face became like black from the displeasure. So the Gemara says, Elamahata, is this to say that that every time it says Vayichar in the Torah, it's referring to, it means this as well, that it became like his face turned colors? So the Gemara answers, Hasum Ksiv Af. There is written Af, and the anger of Hashem was kindled. Af, Af. Whereas here, the anger Af is not written. So therefore, it doesn't say Af, so we interpret it differently. Rava says, David, for what reason was David punished with Uzi's death? Because he called Torah, or he called matters of Torah songs. What did David HaMelech say in Tehillim? Your statues have been my songs in the house of my parents. So Hashem said, in regards to matters of Torah, which Torah we know is very difficult and it's demanding, what does it say? Will you set your eyes upon it? And you're calling Torah like songs. How could you call something like Torah, who is so difficult and demanding, you're calling it songs? So Hashem got upset and said, I will cause, he tells David HaMelech, I will cause you to stumble in a matter that even school children know. It says that, and to the descendants of Kahas he did not give. Why? Because their Aveda was Avedas HaKedesh. And V'iyu Asi Bagalti. So, Al Pi Torah, the people of Kahos are supposed to carry the Aron. Now, and even though the Aron clearly must be carried upon, we said, the shoulders of Kahos, David made a mistake, and he brought the Aron in Agalta, in a wagon. Now then the pasuk says, "Vayach ba'anshe beis shemesh kiro ba'aron." When the Plishtim returned the Aron during the period of Shmuel, it says, "Vayach ba'anshe beis shemesh kiro ba'aron," and he struck of the men of Beis Shemesh because they had gazed, they had looked upon the Aron. So the Gemara asks him, "Vayach chalikim?" Just because they gazed upon the Aron, that's why Hashem struck them. Why did their actions deserve this punishment? So, Rabbi Avo, Rabbi Lazar. This is Machlekes, Rabbi Avo, Rabbi Lazar. Chadam rekoitz to mishtachvan hayu. One person says that they were punished because when they were reaping their crops and like bowing themselves at the same time, they didn't stop and give cover to the Aron. Chadam mili nami omer. And other people say they also spoke like bad words about the Aron. Man omrich. Who angered you? In other words, they said about the Aron so much that you became so angry that you gave yourself into captivity, and who came to you to appease you? Okay, we're holding now Lamed Hey on base. Okay, the pasuk says, "Vayach ba'am shivim ish chamishim elef ish." It says, and they struck of the people 70 men, 50,000 men. This is Machlekes and Bavo and Rabbi Lazar. Chad Amar Shivim Ish Hayu. Some people say that there were 70 men, and they were equivalent to 50,000 men. And some say that there were 50,000 men, and each and every one of them was equivalent to 70 men in Sanhedrin. Now, with regards to David's journey with the Aron to Yerushalayim, the pasuk says, "Vayihi ki tzadu nesi Aron Hashem shisha tzaadim vayizbach shed umri." It says that when David HaMelech went with the Aron to Yerushalayim, and when they who carried the Aron of Hashem had gone 6 paces, and he sacrificed an ox and a bull. Umri. Uksiv shiva parim v'shiva elim. It's also written that he sacrificed 7 oxen and 7 rams. So which one did he do? So I'm going to papa Shmuel kol psio psia sheirim midi. So the papa says that for each and every step that David HaMelech took, he sacrificed an ox and a Marie. What's a Marie? Like another type of animal. Akol sheish v'sheish psia shiva parim v'shiva elim. And for every 6 steps that he took, he sacrificed 7 oxen and 7 rams. So Rav Chizda told him, if David HaMelech sacrificed an offering for every step that he took, so you filled up all of Eretz Yisrael with bamis, with the altars, because they had to build a new mizbeach for each carbon. Rav Chizda says, "I'll call sheish v'sheish p'siyos sharim midi, I'll call shisha starim shal sheish p'siyos shiva parim v'shiva elim." That for every 6 steps he sacrificed an ox and a marie, and for every 6 steps, he sacrificed 7 oxen and 7 rams. Now it's written in regards to that when Uzi died, Ksiv Kidoin, it says when they came to the threshing floor of Kidoin, Uksiv Nachoin. And it also says Nachoin. So Amar Yechon Betchila Kidoin. Yechon says at first Arnon was similar to like a Kidoin. Ulabasayv Nachin. But ultimately, after the Yidden got there was forgiveness, it became like a nochin, like established, a place in the house of, there was establishment where that was a mocker of brachas. Now the Gemara returns to the discussion on how the Aron was brought into Eretz Yisrael. So you are found saying that there were 3 sets of stones. One, Moshe Rabbeinu, erected in the land of Mayav. Like it says, as it says, beyond the Jordan, the land of Mayav, Moshe took upon himself to expound Be'er. And elsewhere it says that with regard to the mitzvah to put the stones on our Evel, it says that you shall write on the stones all the words of the law, which Be'er Be'ev, and we learn from Exedeh Shava Be'er that appears with Moshe, and the word Be'er that appears in regards to the mitzvah to write the Torah on the stones on Har Evel, that Moshe also wrote and there was one set that Yeshua erected in Gilgal, as it says, and these 12 stones which they took out of the Yarden, Yeshua set up in Gilgal. How did the Jewish people write the Torah? This is they wrote it on stones. And you shall write on the stones all the words of the law. And afterwards they plaster them over with plaster. Rabbi Shimon says, according to your statement, that they plastered over the writing. So how did the nations of the world study Torah? Hashem granted them an extra degree of understanding. And they sent their Neitadim, the scribes, and they peeled off the plaster and they copied it down. And on account of this matter, the decree to be sent into the pit of the destruction was sealed. Because once the Torah was in their possession, they should have studied Torah, and they did not study. Shimon says, it's not what happened. Rather, the Jewish people wrote the text of the Torah on top of the plaster, and they wrote below for the Goyim to read that the pasuk commands the Jewish people to destroy the Goyim. They wrote on the bottom, Yilamdu eschem nasis kechel, lest they teach you to do like all halamatashim. This teaches us that if the Goyim who lived in Eretz Yisrael would have done tshuva, the Yidden would have accepted them and allowed them to live in Eretz Yisrael. What's the reason of Rabbi Shimon? Because it says, and the people shall be as burnings of plaster. Al iske sid. In other words, this teaches us that the nations were punished on account of the matters of plaster. In other words, they did not study the Torah that was written on plaster. Rabbi Yehuda, so the Gemara says, and how does Rabbi Yehuda, who holds that the Torah was not written on plaster, how does he touch up the pasuk? So he says, ki sid. It means that the goyim are like plaster. The maasid ein lo takana l'srefa. Just like plaster has no remedy, do you have to burn it? So afu maseilam ein lo takana l'srefa. By the goyim, they have no remedy other than burning. In other words, in Gehenna. The Gemara asks, now the Gemara says, according to whose opinion is that which was taught in Abraisa? The pasuk says that when you go forth to battle against your enemies, and Hashem delivers them into your hands, the pasuk says, "V'shavisa shivyei," and take them captives. In other words, implying that there's no obligation to destroy them. The rabbis knanim shebuchutz la'aretz, to include not only goyim who are Canaanim, but even Canaanim that lived outside of Chutz La'aretz. That was that if they do tshuva, then they're accepted to live in Eretz Yisrael. Daf Lamid Vav Keman, according to who? Rabbi Shimon. This is according to opinion of Rabbi Shimon, who holds that the pasuk is not referring to the goyim living outside of Eretz Yisrael, because there's no concern that a yid, that the Jewish people will learn to be like the goyim, as these Canaanim are not located in Eretz Yisrael. Okay, let's do a Chazara. All right, so we started off today, the third line, Lamed Hey. The pasuk says that they came, the Meraglim came, and they said, that they said we came to the land, and the land is Zovas Chalav Udvash. And then they said, the next pasuk, they said, Efes ki azahom, that the people are very, very strong. So Rabbi Yechlan says, in the name of Rameir, anytime a person says Lashon Hara, if there's not some type of truth in there, then it will not last. Then the pasuk says that Vayas Kolev Esa'om, El Meisha, and Kolev silenced everybody. So Rabbah says that he persuaded them with his words. Yeshua got up and started speaking. So they said, you Yeshua, who doesn't have any children, is going to tell us about going to Eretz Yisrael. So he said, if I'm going to open my mouth, so the same thing's going to happen to me. So what did he do? He started making like he's on their side. He says, is this the only thing that Ben Amram did to us? So they thought that he's speaking derogatory of Moshe Rabbeinu. And then once he had their attention, he said, Moshe took us out of Mitzrayim, he split the sea for us, he gave us the man. If he's going to tell us to go up the ladders, we're going to go and be successful. Then the pasuk says, said that we can't go up to Eretz Yisrael, and they were saying about Kiviyachol, the Eibishter is not able to fight them. Like once the Eibishter, like we explained, Apiteva set up the giants in Eretz Yisrael, they felt that Apiteva they're not going to be able to be victorious. Then they said Eretz Yisrael. So Rava says Hashem said, I did this for their good, so that that everybody should be distracted from the Goyim, from the Yidden, from the Meraglim, and not pay attention to them, because he was making funeral after funeral. Well, they took it the wrong way and said Eretz Yisrael. Other people say Eiv died that day, and everybody was involved with the Hespedim for him, and they said, oh, it's Eretz Yisrael. Again, misunderstanding. Then they said, so the Mesharsha says, the Meraglim were lying, because how could they say about the people in Eretz Yisrael that they thought that that in their eyes we were also like grasshoppers. So there must be liars. So the Gemara says no, because really when they started hiding from the giants, because they were sitting and eating under a cedar tree the meals of Avelus, and they got scared, the Meraglim, so they jumped, they crawled and hid in the tree. And the people in Eretz Yisrael were saying, oh, we see people like grasshoppers in the trees. Then it says, Vatisa Koleda Vayitin Kelim Vayivku. So Rabbi Yechman says that day was Erev Tisha B'Av, and Hashem says they're crying for no reason. I'm going to make a Bechila Datas forever. And then it says that all the congregation said, let's stone them. And then it says, so Rabbi Chia teaches us that they were like throwing stones, klape kiviyachol, klape the Eibishter. Then it says, so Rav Shimon says they died in Misa Mishuna. Other people say that their tongue came to their belly, and there was like worms crawling from their tongue to their belly, and like a Ferris wheel. Rav Nachman says there was achsada, it was like a choking death. Now, once they came, once all the Eden passed the Yarden, so all the water went back. The Gemara says that it teaches us that the Kohanim basically didn't really travel anywhere. They stayed in one place and they came back. And the Yidden were on the other side of the Yarden. Now, on this, Uzi got punished because it says, and Uzi touched the Oren. So the Eibishter said, the Oren carried the people from the Yarden. You think it can't carry itself. So Hashem got upset at Uzi, and he so it's a machlekes. Some people said either al iskei shalai, because he touched the Oren, or because he made a srachov over there. He went to the bathroom there. Then it says that he died. So the Gemara says that what does it mean? Hayom Hashem im Oren elikim, that Uzi died. He went to Elam Haba. Now Vayichel David. So it says that what does that mean? That his face turned to colors. So the Gemara says every time it says Vayichel means colors. No, because it says af. Here it doesn't say af. Darashava, why was David punished? Because he called Torah, which was very difficult, songs. Like it says, Hashem says, Divrei Torah, which says it's so difficult to learn, you're calling it Zmiris, I'm going to make you stumble, and even on halacha that a kid knows that you're not allowed to put the Aron on a wagon. The Aron has to be carried by the Bnei Kahas. Then it says, Vayach ba'anshi be'shemesh, kiro ba'aron. So the Gemara says, just because they gazed at the Aron, that's why Hashem hit them. So he says either that they didn't give proper respect, or they were saying derogatory things. They were saying, "Oh, this angry Aron, who upset you that you went into captivity, and who's going to come and appease you?" Now, then the pasuk says in regards to the punishment of the people in Beis Shemesh, Ayach ba'om shivim ish, that it was 70 men, 75,000, which was Shivim Ish, which was 50,000 Ish. So when it says, one person says it was either 70 men and each one was like Chamishim, or there was Chamishim, 50,000, each one was compared to like 70. And then it says about by David HaMelech, when he went to Yerushalayim, Vayihi kitzadu neisi Oren Hashem shishitzadim, and he gave a shiurim miri. So, and then the pasuk says, Shiva Parim Shiva Elim. So Papa says every step he would offer a shiurim miri, and every 6 by 6 he would offer 7 Parim Shiva Elim. So Chisda says, if so, then the whole Yerushalayim will be full of bamis, because every share he has to make another mizbeach. So Rav Chisda says, every I'll call sheish v'sheish psius shamri, and every 6 starim or 6 psius was 7 parim 7 elim. Now then it says kidain, and then it says great novin. In the beginning, when the Aron was brought there, it was like a kidain. In other words, it caused death. And l'basayif, it was like a place of bracha. Now then we said that it comes out that there was three stones. One Moshe Rabbeinu placed by Ermayev, one was Yeshua, and one was Yeshua and Gilgal. How did the Yidden write the Torah on the Mizbeach by Har Evel? So Rabbi Yehuda says it was on top of the stones, and so other people say it was on top of the seed. So Reb Shimon, according to you, how did the Goyim learn it if it was covered with plaster? So Rabbi Yehuda says that he gave them an extra understanding, and that they should peel off the stones and carry it. And for this, they got punished because they should have learned Torah and they didn't learn Torah. Shimon says, Al Sid Kasur, they wrote it on Sid, and they wrote on the bottom, teaches us that if they would have done tshuva, they would have been accepted to live in Eretz Yisrael. Shila says, what's the reason of Shimon? Because it says, Sid, which means Al Iskei Sid. So for the Gemara, according to Rabbi Yehuda, what does he do with this pasuk? He says, no, he's telling us that just like seed, there's no takana, but just to burn it, so to the goyim you have to burn it. Then the Gemara says, according to which brisa, when the brisa says, the pasuk says, Kiseitzel macham leivecho nesana Hashem lekecha biyadecha v'shavisa shivya v'reiso b'shivya eishes yifaster. Now, shavisa shivya lecher is extra words. So which comes to include Knanim outside of Eretz Yisrael, that if they do tshuva, we accept them. Who does that go like? It must be the pasuk says leisechayek on the shama. It must be like Reb Shimon. Okay, tomorrow we'll learn Meseches Sota Amid Aleph and Beis.